curtindo um podcast, né? Sabe o que você também vai curtir? Saber que o melhor flip de todos os tempos chegou. O novo Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6, com Flex Cam, que tem zoom automático e faz selfies de 50 megapixels. E com bateria estendida para nunca te deixar na mão. Vá a uma loja ou saiba mais em samsung.com.br. Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6. Galaxy AI chegou.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the session. I'm your host, Justin Crosley, back in the studio once again. My poor studio. It's almost as old as I am, I think, and she's dying on me, but she's hanging in there for this wonderful show we have planned for you with a pretty new, I think we can call you new still. You guys are new. Brix Factory Brewing is in the studio with me before, and has been before with another brewery. John Gillooly from Brix Factory is here. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Justin. Thanks for having us.
He's the owner and brewer over at Brix Factory. And Eric Ortega, the co-founder, is here, too. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Justin. Thanks for having us.
I'm stoked to have you guys. And I've only taken one tiny sip of your beer, but I wasn't even paying attention because I was trying to fix our silly studio here. So I'm really excited to taste through the beers with you guys. And special guests tonight, Nicole Ernie and Nathan Smith are helping me co-host. Welcome back.
Hello.
I'm stoked to have you.
Thanks, Justin.
I was really glad you guys came out to do the show with me.
That's nice to be back in the studio. It's been a minute.
Now, Nate, you've done it a few times with me, but we haven't had Nicole here in a while. So
It's been a while.
I'm excited to have you back.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
I thought this would be a great show. I know you and John go way back. There was even chatter at one time that you guys were going to do a podcast here. So I know you guys have been kind of intertwined, and I just thought it'd be super fun to have you back on to talk with John with me, too. So, so welcome back. Today's show is brought to you by More Beer. You can go to morebeer.com. Check out their brew-built line of jacketed conicals. You can feel like a professional brewer yourself. They're pretty dope. Just go to their website, morebeer.com. And they also have a daily deal on the website, which is my favorite thing. They give away all kinds of cool stuff. Well, they give it away at cheap prices anyway. Check out their daily deal. Just go to morebeer.com. Thank them for bringing you this show for almost 20 years. We're on year 19 right now.
Woo.
Yeah. We're going to talk a lot about old and young today, John. I think a young brewery, but you've been brewing for, 30 years or something?
I'm rounding into year 30 next year, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Next June, the Brewing Network will be 20. The Hop Grenade just turned 10.
There you go.
You know what I'm excited about for you?
Yes.
Not having a bunch of shit that's 10 years old.
It's true, man.
Fighting you.
Well, depending on some of the equipment, it is, got some legs on it.
Oh, we're going to get into that, too, because I am curious if you guys got, all new stuff and whatnot. But here, at the Hop Grenade, people did tell me, they're like, 10-year mark, you'll see, it's a lot of maintenance. But they didn't tell me that it all happens at once. They didn't tell me that your business jumps off a cliff. At least the equipment just goes, you know what? Fuck you. We did it. We're out.
You wanted to warn you a week ahead of time that it's going to fail. Right?
Oh, just something.
It'd be a nice warning.
Well, if it would just not be all together.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry to, what's the word, anthropomorphize my equipment, but they're in cahoots is what's happening.
They talk to each other, for sure.
So in the defense of my equipment, my beer fridges, like our to-go beer, for example, I got them used 10 years ago. Right.
Well,
so who knows how
10 years old.
Yeah, so they're older than that. And they hung in there. We have these concerts in the park on Thursday nights. They only happen for the summer. And it's a big chunk of our weekly revenue. And these coolers were going out. I just saw them going out. But I couldn't get new ones in. that girl hung in there for one more concert. Like, this is not an exaggeration. The concerts go from 6 to 8. The cooler failed at 7. But the beer stayed at temp, obviously, right?
Perfect.
The cooler,
It's perfect.
I almost cried. I was like, you did your job. That's all I needed from you was one, because the coolers were coming a couple days later. This is what I've been going through.
So those people who wanted that one last beer, just opening and closing that door over and
I know.
over.
I'm like, hey, just look through the window. Leave her alone. I'll get it for you.
Poetic timing.
But I'm excited for you that you've got 10 years before you have to deal with a lot of this stuff, John and Eric. Yeah. Knock on wood.
So much to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, why don't we start with this, because we have so much to talk about, but we should talk about a beer that's in our glass. How about the Pinch Point American Lager?
This is a beer that I've been brewing for a long time at various breweries that I've worked at. It's a very basic American lager made out of 6-row and corn. And I find it funny because I mean, let's all admit, the biggest selling beer in the United States of America and the world is international lager. Mm-hmm. And there are very few craft brewers that really want to make you an international lager. Like when they do it, nope, wrong one.
Oh, yep. Now you got to blend.
Yeah, well, I went all in. This is like 50% corn and 50% 6-row. When I see other brewers do this, like they never want to put that much corn in. Nobody wants to use 6-row, like blah, blah, blah. But I went back to the whole roots of pre-Prohibition Pilsner and just let's make fucking hams, man. This is what people want to drink. I have so many brewers that come in and want to drink this beer.
I'm not going to lie, John. I read an article about you when you guys opened, and you talked about 6-row.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Come on. That's
for
not...
real.
And you're right, though, and it's delicious.
I mean, it's the point of the beer, man.
Yeah. This is a nice beer. And so it's not what I expected, because I didn't know this was the beer with the 6-row.
Right.
So I didn't expect you to say that, because I'm like, oh, yeah, this is just a great, American lager. Now, you say international lager, though.
I mean, that's just broadly stylistically. You could get trashy lagers in so many countries.
Right. Absolutely.
Like an adjunct lager of some kind.
An adjunct lager of some
Yeah.
kind. They might not all have 6-row in it, but when German Pilsner got dumbed down for the international market, this was in America, but if you were I've had Pilsners. I just put up little air bunnies with because you can't see me. Like in Spain, like if I was in the Philippines, if I was in many different countries, that would be something like this. It would not be 100% Wireman floor molded pills with sauce or any shit like that. It would be this. It would be beer water.
It's specifically 6-row,
Pure
though,
water.
not rice syrup or anything like this. It's
No,
yeah.
I mean, I make my life hard on myself by using 6-row and actual flake corn rather than corn sugar, which would be a little bit easier, or rice sugar, which would be a little bit easier. I choose to torment myself in the lautering process by putting actual corn in there and then being sad.
But corn's the only adjunct, right? 6-row is still considered all malt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
And the only thing with 6-row really these days is it's a little bit skinnier, so there's a little more husk material, which actually helps you run the corn off, and it has a little more diastatic power, so it'll help convert the corn. But honestly, if you look at specs at modern 6-row, it's not the same as back in the pre-pro days. When you were a German brewmaster in the 1870s, you had to use 6-row because that's all that grew in America, right? So you're a German brewmaster, you're in America, you have 6-row, that's your barley. The 6-row back then was garbage malt. It was very high in proteins, very high in diastatic power, and you could not make a 100% 6-row barley malt beer in 1870 in America that wasn't hazy, gross, and disgusting. It would be thick. It would be like a hazy IPA because of I mean, it really would have been, right? This is so the innovation here to make what they wanted to make in terms of a German Pilsner was to cut it with adjunct, because you needed the no protein adjuncts in there to make it clear and everything. So that was the real.
Interesting.
Did you guys just establish hazy IPAs as time traveling?
Yes. Yes, they're just old school Pilsners before they realized they should put corn in them.
This beer is not just clear, it's crystal clear.
Extremely
Filtered,
clear,
fined?
Fine.
Just
findings.
Okay. And a real lagering period, or are you the shortened lager person?
So just to be a jerk.
Go ahead.
The first batch I did was probably like a 7-week batch. Like it was like a 3-week fermentation as cold as I could run it, and then a 4-week long grade time. And then the next one was like 2 weeks warm, 2 weeks cold.
Yeah.
They didn't taste at all different.
And it was
There's
fine.
really no point.
The tasty method.
I just really did it for
gotta try.
just to make a point.
Yeah,
to make a point to myself that there was really no reason to
Sure.
tie up the tank.
Yeah. Well, it's delicious beer.
Thank you.
And we were talking so much before the show while fixing things that I'm now clouded between what was on the air and off the air. Did I hear you say this is one of your best sellers, this beer? Or
It is our single #1 best-selling beer.
is that right?
Yes. Now, if you amortized all our IPAs together, they would be an order of magnitude higher.
Okay.
Like if I only had one hoppy beer on tap, it would well outsell this one. But as
I
a
see.
single brand, it is our #1 selling beer.
That's fantastic. Did you expect that, or do you care?
I vaguely expected it would be in the top 3 because it's approachable.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's like one of our gigs is to be like an approachable brewery. We're not trying to like blow people's faces off or anything like that. We're very much a neighborhood brewery. We want people to come in and have very accessible beers.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that and kind of with your history, too, and yourself as well, Eric. Because, so the last time I had you on the show, and it's been years now, you were with Drake's Brewing Company.
Yes, correct.
And we're talking, denogonizer here, right?
Mm-hmm.
What other breweries have you been at? Do we care to mention?
Oh, I'll give you the quick litany if you like, because this will demonstrate the utter unemployableness of me. And also, I could theoretically be the angel of death because I'm going to like recite breweries to you that do no longer exist.
Oh no, right?
Auspicious.
Yeah. So, 1995, went to brewing school. And as
Where?
So it was the side program out of Davis that Dr. Lewis was running, not the Master Brewers program, but the original iteration of the American Brewers Guild.
Okay.
So it was a 12-week program, 6-week class, 6 weeks internship.
Okay.
My internship was at Red Hook up in Seattle. They hired me, so I spent 2 years at Red Hook in Seattle. I don't know if Red Hook exists much
I don't know.
anymore. There's something in Seattle called the Red Hook Fermentation Lab.
Okay.
And I suppose it's possible that
interesting.
label exists somewhere in the Genesee brews it as a
Sure.
side label or something. So 2 years there.
I'm old enough that Red Hook was one of my first craft beers.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Me
you,
too.
right?
Double black stout.
Yeah, double black,
Coffee in
dude.
it.
So that was a regular stout that we brewed once a month, and then we got this like syrup from Starbucks. It was like RO'd down. It was like super thick coffee stuff, and the brewer's always like, "Oh, let's do shots of this," but it would just like give me the runs, man. It was really, really strong and disgusting.
Yeah.
But it made a very double black stout was very cool.
There was nothing quite like it on the shelf at the time. It made an impact.
No, Red Hook was so that was a great first place to work. From there, I moved back to the Bay Area because I went up there from the Bay Area, and I came back and I worked at a place called Golden Pacific,
Okay.
which is
Don't know that
way
one.
back machine.
right.
Well, they were the place that opened the facility that is now Trumer.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Nice.
So 2 years there.
Yeah.
They had a lot of financial problems, including a couple bounce paychecks. So I got out of there before
yeah.
I had any more bounce paychecks. And I landed at a brew pub in Sonoma called Sienna Red, which we ran for one summer. That was a kind of frying pan fire situation. They closed that fall. I was able, after a couple months, to bounce over to Mendocino Brewing Company, which was Angel of Death. Yeah. So I was at the new Ukiah facility. Sure, it was Mendocino. It was cool. I worked with Don Barkley. It was kind of cool. I spent a year
Nice.
there. And went from there to Dogfish Head. And I was at Dogfish from 2002 to 2004, and I was the brewer who, moved us from Lewis to Milton, opened the Milton facility.
Okay.
And I did a lot of weird shit there because I worked for Sam.
Yeah.
I have Dogfish stories out the ear. That's probably the brewery. Honestly, for me, that was the most fundamental brewery to my entire experience as a brewer.
Next time I invite Sam on, will you be my co-host?
I will be more than happy to come and talk to Sam.
that'd be
Sam's
great.
fucking fantastic, dude. I think that guy is one of the best ambassadors this industry has.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of really fun shit there. I really enjoyed working
And
there.
he's so tall.
He's not actually that tall. No, he's not tall.
me, he is.
No, well, yo, come on.
Nicole.
That's a sliding scale, young lady.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
2 years.
2 years, nice.
Yeah,
cool. A big 2 years, big impact.
Yeah.
No, it was great. It was really, and because we were like, it was like growth. Like we were like triple digit growth. I mean, we were just chugging out at that place. It was fantastic. Loved the experience.
Okay.
Could stand not to have been in Southern Delaware.
Yeah.
Especially I had like my kids were like middle school age, and I was like, oh, I don't really want them here in school. But in any case, yeah, it was a tough move as Bay Area people.
Like an 18% beer for the first time ever.
Dude,
like a place
so
like that, right?
so at one point in 2004, I looked at Rate Beer because they had this like section of the 10 strongest beers in the world, and I was literally 5 of them. And I was like, Jesus God, dude, is this like I'm not
Worldwide
even
stout.
But he kind of made their mark that way, right?
Yeah, two different batches of Worldwide Stout, Raison Dextra.
Oh gosh,
I remember that
Raison.
beer.
I got Raison.
I like that beer.
Okay, I just want to say
is
this.
pioneering
So
stuff.
this is Raison Dextra. I just want to say this. I got that beer up to 20.2% in 35 days. Wow. From start to bottle, 35 days. So I'll take that one to the grave.
I remember having that beer for the first time, and I'm not going to say like it was life-changing or anything, but it was so different that I was like, I didn't know beer could be like this.
Exactly.
That was a really cool beer.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was it tickled all my creative urges, and it fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Sam was honestly inspirational leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say the only time I've ever had that in this industry, so it was.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, I can't say enough about the experience.
That's great.
That era of Dogfish Head was all about pushing people's understanding of what beer could be.
Everything,
Yeah.
no, I remember. So
Aggressively.
I have. So here's my favorite.
well.
Here's my favorite Dogfish story. Sam comes to my desk. He's like, "Hey, we're doing a collab with." I don't remember, like some society of like mapping, like geographical society, and we're going to make a beer called Pangea, and we're going to use an ingredient from all 7 continents. And so I'm like, okay, cool, bro.
Yeah.
So
I'll be here in the morning.
Okay. So, I start lining it up. It was fairly easy. North America was hops. Europe was malt. South America, I went with quinoa because that seemed like fun. You could throw quinoa in a mash. Asia, I went with purple sticky rice because that seemed like fun. Mm-hmm. Africa, I got this really good brown sugar from Madagascar that was like so sticky you could make snowballs with it and throw it at people's heads, which you really shouldn't do because it really hurt.
Right. Ask me how I know.
Australia was crystallized ginger. Is that 6 continents? Because 7 was really fucking hard because Antarctica, you literally can't even bring anything off of the island.
Oh.
So we eventually found a glacier that had detached from Antarctica, and an Australian company was bottling water off of it.
Wow.
And I got 1 case of that bottled water. I was like, Sam, that's the best I could do. And he's like, no problem. And he dumped that shit right in the mash, and we just called it a day.
I love this.
That must have been an expensive case of bottled water.
Oh, I'm sure it was quite expensive. It was the point. It was just for the point.
You had to do
thing.
it. I think you guys nailed it. I mean, come on. That's also a good idea. And I remember trying that beer. I remember reading about it and going like, all right, guys, I get it. But thinking back now,
yeah,
I was a little jaded. That's a cool thing to do.
It was a really fun and cool thing to do. And Sam would just churn these ideas out. I'm just going to riff now. You don't care, right? I can just babble.
Ahead. Yeah.
So here's the worst thing that Sam ever did to me. It was a Thursday. And he comes to my desk. He's like, hey, man, I've double booked myself tomorrow. I'm supposed to give a speech at the National Historical Society in D.C. about Midas Touch.
Okay.
But I have to be somewhere else.
On TV, probably.
No, but it was in front of, like, historians, not beer nerds.
Okay.
And I'm just like, oh, son of a bitch, man.
Yeah.
Because I was not the front man at Dogfish. Obviously you got Calagione there. He's the front man.
Yeah.
That was quite. I had to talk for 20 minutes.
How'd you do? How was the reception, I should say? What do you think?
Look, man,
They probably loved it.
I did what I did.
Okay. All right, where else have you worked?
So after Dogfish, I ended up at Mammoth Brewing Company. I spent 6 months up at Mammoth. I was a contract gig. My friend Will, who I'd been to brewing school with, was the head brewer up there, and they were expanding into distribution. They brought me in there to like, quote, refine the recipes and get their packaging program up and running. So that was cool.
Man, if that was the worst brewing job you ever had, I still would have stayed there for a couple years just for Mammoth, just to be in Mammoth.
Oh, it was delightful being up there.
Beautiful up there.
Unfortunately, we owned a VW Golf, and in October we got 24 inches of snow in 24 hours and realized that we are not really equipped to live in Mammoth.
Right, fair.
And sort of like my gig had ended. I got like paid out very kindly, like a nice payout. Can I tell my Mammoth story? I have a great Mammoth story.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we were like working on the amber ale, and we went out and we drank every amber ale in town, which there's like 2 places to go drinking. So we drank all these amber ales mostly, and we're like, yeah, we want to try to nail Alaska Amber. We want that to be our beer. We're drunk. These guys drive me back to the owner's house because I'm staying there. And I get out of the truck and I walk up to the front door and go to open it, and it was locked. And I was like, this isn't the right house. and if you've been to Mammoth, like if you're out there in the housing area, there's not a lot of streetlights and shit. The dudes had already driven off on me. So I'm like just standing out here like, son of a bitch. Now, like a good brewer, I did have a flashlight in my pocket. So I like took my flashlight out and I held it like a cop, up over my shoulder. I'm doing a lot of gestures here that you can't see on the radio.
You're describing it well.
All right, good. So I'm walking, and I'm like, where the hell am I? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I know where I am. I'm feeling good. I'm going to find the owner's house. I'm going to go get that little apartment he's got for me downstairs. And I turn to the right with my flashlight, and there's like like one of those wooden statues of a bear. I was like, ooh, look, a bear. And it turns and looks at me.
Oh,
and it's like, oh, you're not a wood statue at all. So I'm like... Now I'm sort of like walking sideways backward down the middle of the street. I'm a little less drunk, too, at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm walking, and all of a sudden, I look to the left, and there's 2 other bears that are like maybe 8 feet away from me. And now I'm dead sober. And just walking down the street, man. I'm like,
the bears are like, go home, John. You're drunk.
Yes, they were. that is
we're going to let you pass.
That's my entire Mammoth Brewing Company experience there, man.
That's great.
And then from there, I ended up at Trumer, which was amusing because it was exactly the same facility as Golden Pacific was. So, like, when they hired me, I was like, yeah, I brewed on this system before.
I'll just start tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm in the brew house. Thank you.
Nice.
From there, Speakeasy, Angel of Death.
Well, that was much later, right? Maybe not much later, was it?
No.
Yeah, okay.
No. I mean, they died. It took them a few years to die, but, the stench was there. And then Drake's.
Okay. And you were at Drake's for a good long while, right?
I was the longest tenure I've had in this industry.
Okay. You are going to make a beer called Angel of Death after the show, right?
I know we tend to name our beers after warning signs and things like that. Well, that's not actually true. We just use warning signs to rip off.
It's a motif, and honestly, all the warning signs are free to pull off the internet.
There's got to be a warning sign about the Angel of Death.
There must be. It's amazing what you can find warning signs for.
And is Drake's where you meet Eric, or had you guys met before?
This is actually where, we actually crossed paths.
Okay. You were a brewer there at Drake's too?
I started off as a lowly tour guide.
Okay, yeah.
I came up to the Bay Area with mostly an academic background, and I knew I wanted to cut my teeth in the brewing industry. And luckily, Drake's called me back first, because at the time, I got to meet John and a bunch of other talented brewers.
Nice.
And we eventually, just kind of developed a really great working relationship. I remember an early quote that John told me when I started working there was something that Sam told him back at Dogfish Head. It's like, this guy has a weird resume, but he's got a lot of weird talents, so just hire him, and he's going to find a place there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But you eventually became a brewer.
Yep. I worked with the barrel program for a while.
Okay.
I never became a full-fledged brewer, but I mostly worked with the sales and marketing teams, but mainly with education.
Okay.
And so I was more the theory, whereas John is the practice.
Sure.
And I was in charge of training the retail, the sales teams, our accounts, distributor partners, doing the general sales meetings with DBI back in the day when they were still around. And
literally all the other skills that Brix needs.
Yeah. Yes.
That works out fantastic.
I mean, we all end up wearing a lot of hats, but I kind of learned to wear those hats at Drake's a long time ago. And I quickly found that brewing wasn't necessarily my talent, but all the other secondary and tertiary things, I was actually fairly good at.
Nice. Look, I love beer. I love everything about beer, and I'm the worst brewer you'll ever meet in your life. But it doesn't mean you can't find like a place in it. So I love that. Did you go right from Drake's to opening Brix, or did you go somewhere else too?
I shared a little bit of time between leaving Drake's. So I was there for almost 7 years.
Okay.
I started off as a tour guide, but my final stint, the last year I was there, I was the general manager of the tap room in San Leandro.
Got it. Yeah.
And during the pandemic, we were trying to go through going through QR code service, complying with local laws, just make sure everything was safe, and all the headache that we had to go through between 2020 and 2021.
Got it.
I'd wanted to cool my heels a bit, but on my last day at Drake's, we had the ceremonial denogonizer jug.
Yeah.
If you leave in good standing at the company, one of the traditions was you have to chug a bottle of 22-ounce, 9.75% double IPA.
Wow.
And it's always been a bit of a tradition over there, but I like to, make a stink about myself. And I had, I want to say, about 100 people show up for that, on top of a bagpipe player.
Yes.
And, it was, and I also had a 21 shotgun salute. So
what?
Everyone shotgunned a can of Miller High Life and threw the cans at me as I was chugging the beer.
Nice.
Define chug. Are we talking all in one gulp here? Or did you have like a couple minutes to do this?
No, I got a straw and I finished it in less than, I want to say, 8 seconds.
The record is 7.8 seconds, held by Will Hutchinson, who we have it on. It's actually on YouTube.
Incredible.
No, we
You got close, Eric. You got really close.
He got really close. Yeah. The straw's really important.
That was a good
for the
technique.
break. Yeah.
Strawpedo.
Will pioneer the technique.
Okay.
What's denog, double or triple?
It's double,
It's
975
double.
still.
Yeah.
So-
It straddles the line a little bit, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question, Justin.
That's
Back
a
in
moving
the-
line.
Double.
Well, the reason I ask is back in the Rat Pad, back in the early days of the BN, when we finally had a kegerator inside.
Yep. Back in the garage.
One of the
Back to
first
that.
kegs we put on was denogonizer. And it was probably my first experience with a double IPA. I'm the type of person who, if there's a beer on tap at home, I'm going to have 5 of them. That's just what happens. And, I had not really had double IPAs at that point. I don't really remember what happened. I remember waking up, though, and still one of the worst hangovers I've ever had in my life. I do not know what happened. I don't even know if I made it to my bed, nothing. But I learned a valuable lesson. I don't think I touched a double IPA for 3 years or something after that, and it was one of the worst. That's my denog.
Pouring yourself full
experience.
pints of denog.
Didn't denog used to be like over 10 though at some point?
I feel like
back
it
in the
was.
day, I think
Yes.
it was.
Yeah. I mean, I probably didn't even have 5. I probably had 3.
'Cause that goes back
Yeah,
to the.
you'd pass out
probably did,
before you
Justin.
got through your fourth one.
That goes back to
To be fair, I got TTB letters saying, we've pulled your beer and it came out at 10.5.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
right. Yeah, whoops.
They're like, it's so sad. Our instrumentation must have been off that day. I got really used to writing letters.
Whoopsie daisy.
Well, I got to get us to a break, but first, when did Brix open? When did the idea start? Can I do that?
Well, actually, the day of that little ceremony I had, as I was walking out, John pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I think I'm finally ready to do my own project," and that was sort of the seed planted.
And that was in 21?
May 2021.
21, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then flash forward to March of 2024, we finally got the doors open. But between then and now was a lot of.
And it wasn't just talk during that whole time. It was getting shit done for two something years.
Yeah.
Permits and...
Site location was tough.
Okay.
Then once we had a site, lease negotiations were, fortunately, they took a long time, but I'm glad we spent the time we did.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of the most important things that people get so excited to just get started, right? That a lot of people will just take whatever.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of bad deals that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good for you. All right. Let's talk about the Pilsner real quick.
Yep.
Then we'll take a break and come back and talk about your location and all of that. But what's the Pilsner we have in our glass?
So you guys are drinking the Cliffs of Amont. It is I term this a French Pilsner for no particular reason other than the fact it's using 2 of the newer French hops developed. So, like every, Amont. Everybody recently has decided that they're going to make cool hip hops. Like the Germans are like, oh gosh, we're going to make Hallertau Mandarina. We're going to,
right.
things like that. So the French came out with a couple really interesting hops called Mistral
Of course they
and
did.
Barbe Rouge.
Okay. Are they both in this?
They're both in this. It's basically 1 pound per barrel of Mistral in the Whirlpool and 1 pound per barrel of Barbe Rouge in the dry hop. The grist is 100% Dingaman Pils, which is Belgian, which is basically French as far as I'm concerned. Don't tell them I said that. And very clean lager yeast. And I just really wanted to make a platform for the hops, which
I think you did. Can I use an aroma descriptor I don't think
Please.
I've ever used before?
do it.
It's beautiful.
Oh,
Like
it's a really nice nose, right?
Like normally I would just go, okay, it's a little perfumey
Yes,
or it's a
perfumey,
little flowery.
floral.
But the middle of that or the combo of that, I was like, that really smells beautiful.
It's delightful, man. And I think before we started, these are hops I got from Fieldworks because Fieldworks wasn't sure what they were going to do with them, so they sold them to me.
I love it.
I put them in a Pils.
It smells amazing. It's delicious.
Right?
It's a fun beer. I'm stoked about it, and this is the joy of having a small brewery where I don't have to give a shit. I can just grab a couple boxes of hops and make a beer.
You nailed a bitterness level that really amplifies that
thank
hop
you.
flavor and aroma too.
I was
very cool.
really I didn't want it to be too bitter to step on the hops, but I knew these hops weren't going to have a lot of cut, so I wanted to make sure I had some background bitterness.
I feel like it's a firm bitterness up front, but then it just kind of floats away.
Yeah.
If the front bitterness stuck around, then I wouldn't like it as much. But it kind of, maybe then the hops just take, the floralness of the hops takes over. What do you think, Nicole? You're smarter than me about this. Sorry, I put you on the spot there. But even about that bit, I'm wondering about you think about the balance of the bitterness, because aroma, I'm like, okay, it's not going to have any bitterness. Then the first thing I taste, kind of a firm.
You can never tell how bitter a beer is going to be by its aroma.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean they're separate, but I agree that there's the impression of bitterness is sharper at the front of the beer. It's like kind of almost not quite aggressive, but it's firm.
Yeah.
But in the finish, it does kind of mellow out something about the malt or whatever. What did this finish at? In terms of gravity,
Somewhere between 1.8 and 2.2. I don't remember on the top of my head. But.
So dry, but not crazy bone dry. It's just enough.
Yeah.
And there's something proteiny in here that's kind of
right,
giving it some mouthfeel, and that kind of softens the intensity of that bitterness.
Yeah.
But
I bet there's a long, beautiful French word to describe.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I'm just being gibberish.
No, but that was probably exactly about right, though.
Yes, you're close for sure.
Good call on the malt flavor and the body of the beer. It's still there, even though there's so much other components.
It's adding this kind of structure.
Yeah.
That's letting everything else really.
No, it's a fun, cool beer. We have a continual series of pilsners that are always. They're always 1 pound per barrel in the Whirlpool, 1 pound per barrel in the dry hop. The one before this, the last two were New Zealand's, but we went with French on this one, and we're just going to do whatever the fuck we feel like.
Was it equal amounts of both of those special hops in the dry hop and Whirlpool, or was it
all Mistral in the Whirlpool, all Bar Bruges in the dry hop?
Gotcha.
I've worked with Bar Bruges once. I've never worked with Mistral at all, and I know Bar Bruges has a little bit of a red berry thing going, so I wanted to see if I could pop that, but it didn't really pop red berry. It popped really just like he said, sort of like.
I get that red.
Beautiful.
I get that red berry thing, and I think I wouldn't want
subtle.
much more than that because it would start to taste like an off flavor.
Yeah, or it would turn into something you'd throw into an IPA.
Yeah, exactly.
When we first tapped it, we were struggling for verbiage to kind of describe.
We
those
really
hop
were,
aromas. And we knew we were this is interesting. There's nuance to it, but as we kept on drinking it, we kept on going back to having some subtle berry qualities. And Mistral is the only hop I've only ever had one other time, which was at Mad Fritz up in St. Helena, and they actually had one of the first growth, and they threw it in a pale ale, and that had at the time, which I think was a tea leaf and very lime-like quality. And so we were kind of thinking, as we were tasting back and forth, there was sort of an Earl Grey with a heavy bergamot presence, which if we're looking to pull out unique aromas, that kept on coming back. So people come in asking, what to expect out of this beer? And so we give them a little bit of guiding, but generally, it's still...
Just put it in front of them.
Yeah, bergamot's a good way to describe kind of overall. Yeah.
It's super hoppy, but it's not IPA hoppy. It's a very different
Not
profile.
every hop is an IPA hop.
Exactly.
I hear from so many brewers
really cool.
oh yeah, no, I don't like that hop. I'm like, well, what did you do with it?
Right.
Well,
What did you do with it?
Right.
That's not an IPA hop.
That's a great point.
That's not what that's for. That hop is not happy to be there. It wants to be in a stout. It wants to be in a French Pilsner in bunny quotes.
Yeah, no, good bunny
Excellent
quotes.
point.
Yeah.
Is this a one-off, though?
everything. Not everything's a one-off. I mean, I revisit beers, but even when I revisit them, I've never brewed a beer like I haven't brewed Pinch Point the same all 3 times.
Okay,
so there are beers that I'm like constantly kind of working on, and then there's beers that I just make.
I mean, you're so new that you're still getting that system like
sure.
Well, this is actually
this
is a conversation too. Like, do I want to make the same beer twice?
Well, I only ask the question selfishly because I want this beer every time I show up.
Is it a philosophical question? Can you dip your foot in the same river twice? Like,
yes, yeah, exactly right. I mean,
I'm so happy you're back, Nicole.
A ship of Theseus.
Are you ready for break now?
I am, but no, I'm serious. I'm so happy
that's a great note.
Exactly. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more from Nicole Ernie, and we're going to find out all about Brix and their opening. I'm sure there's some good stories there. Hang in there. You're listening to The Session. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Session. Thank you for hanging out with us. We are still with Brix Factory Brewing.
They haven't thrown us off the air yet.
I almost messed it up. No. You get to stay. I love a good... I was just telling John at the break, and my listeners know this by now, but I like the stories around beer almost as much as I like beer. I definitely like the stories around beer more than I like the ingredients of beer. To me, like the ingredients and the recipes nowadays, for me, they're just like they're the tool to get us to the stories.
It's the background noise.
And so, John, you're making my life easy and fun. So I'm so stoked you guys are here, and Eric Ortega, the co-founder, and sharing the beer. My full pour for this segment is the French Pilsner. While we taste some of your others, we usually get some tasters plus have a full pour if we're going to tell stories. So yeah, I wasn't lying. That French Pils, something else. Really like it. Real quick, hey, thanks to one of our sponsors, been with us for so long, Beersmith. Go to beersmith.com. You can get your free trial of the desktop version of the brewing software. It's absolutely fantastic. It's the best one you're going to find. Go to beersmith.com. It's still actively managed by Brad Smith every single day, so he's always improving it. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just go get your free desktop trial. And while you're there, thank Brad for sponsoring this show for all these years. He's a great guy, and we really appreciate it.
Yay, Brad.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk more beer in a second, but I kind of wanted to just get back to the brewery itself. So you said you finally opened the doors when, Eric?
It was March 1st. We finally got everything squared away.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, March 1st.
We were shooting to open by Beer Week, and we didn't get our conditional use permit in due time. So we decided to lean into Beer Week activities. And
nice.
So it was just sort of like a game of chicken as to whether or not we should pour all of our energy into getting the tap room ready, or we could just go out and have fun throughout the Bay Area. So we did. We worked the gala. We did the Ghost Town West Fest. We did a bunch of awesome events throughout, and we were out actually in Rockland doing a collab release with Mindscape Fermentations.
Nice.
And fantastic folks. Also, anyone who finds themselves out there, definitely check them out. It's run by some badass ladies, and they're making some fantastic drinks.
Okay, great.
We were doing a release of a hard seltzer collab that we were doing, which was a cocktail inspired. Was it
White Lady?
White Lady, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
White Lady cocktail inspired seltzer. And we were hanging out there, and that's we got a phone call that basically told us that, hey, the conditional use permit went through. You can be open within a week. And
wow.
that was the very quick scramble at the tail end of Beer Week.
And is the conditional use from the ABC or from the city?
City.
That's the city one. Okay. So ABC had already approved your license.
We
had
been approved for months at that point.
So the ABC approval was actually a lot easier than we thought it was going to be.
It was not as easy as
the city was the straggler. Then.
Well,
weird.
I mean,
comparatively,
that's a rabbit hole of a story, Eric. I don't know if I'm even ready to go there.
Remember last year when the whole city got hacked?
Oh,
that was fun too. Yeah,
I do remember that.
Yeah,
and our building permits were held hostage for 3 months
were.
because they couldn't get their shit together.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah.
Can I ask some, maybe personal, private question? Were you guys paying rent that whole time? Were you able to not? Okay.
No,
That's good.
As part of negotiating our lease, we did not have to pay rent until we opened.
Good. Okay, so that helped.
Yeah.
But you're also not working during that time? Like, earning money? So we're talking months here, or were you still brewing?
My wife's a lovely human being who works at the University of California, Berkeley, and was able to keep the lights on at our house.
Okay, fantastic.
Is continuing to be able to keep the lights on at our house as I have earned no money.
And Eric, did you have another job during this time, or?
So between when I left Drake's, I had worked at Almanac Brewing Company for a year and a half, and then I also worked with Admiral Maltings at their tap room, the Rake in Alameda.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So bring it in a little bit while you guys are riding this out.
Yeah, bartending and just keeping myself active. But we were also sourcing equipment at that time. Mm-hmm. We were doing our collaborations and just trying to make a stink about ourselves. Like, hey, we're a new brand. We're coming around the bend. And
we did a shit ton of collabs.
Yeah. And that's actually if you come to the tap room, I have a little shelf dedicated to the 8 different collabs we did before we got opened. And
yeah.
They've all either been canned or we just kept like a growler and like the tag that came from that collab.
Do you guys think, I was thinking about this today when I was thinking about interviewing you guys, because I know that you've been in the industry before. Do you think you would have been able to open the brewery? Because you got a little hype, and I think you've had, I'm not saying you guys are rich or anything, but had some instant, you're able to sell the beer pretty quick. Do you think you would have had that if you weren't in the industry already? Because you certainly couldn't have gone around doing collabs, right?
Yes.
So in other words, would a random person who wanted to open a brewery in 2023, do you think they would have been able to do it as easy? It wasn't easy, but do you see what I'm getting at?
No, I absolutely agree with what you're saying, man. I mean, we have a network of connections in the industry. We have people that we can reach out to that if you didn't know the industry would be harder for you.
Sure.
I think specifically of Brennan over at Tenma, who is a great brewer. Tenma's making some of the best beer in the East Bay right now.
Love it.
But he's up here from SoCal, and we've always been we try to be super tight with that guy, and we've introduced him to people. He's been good about getting himself out there, but he's new to the scene out here.
Right.
It's been more of a lift for him than it would be for Win at Wondrous, or if Andy at OP decided to go open a brewery, or
and that's kind of what I mean.
Roger at Faction was already deeply ingrained in the network out here. So
because it's tougher now than ever to open a brewery. And when we opened Hop Grenade 10 years ago, we had an incredible tap list, and other bar owners and customers are like, how the hell did you guys get this beer? And I'm like, I've been doing this for a decade. I've been marketing for breweries for 10 years before I opened this place. So it was a leg up. Yes. But I only kind of bring it up now because it's just harder than ever to open a brewery. And I think you already went out on a limb to open a brewery in 2023, 24, right?
Yeah. Nothing about it. I mean, like you mentioned, nothing about it was easy, but it was made exceedingly, I guess, I hesitate to use the word easier, but the one thing that you never taught in anything you ever do is how the power of networking and making friends, and kindness is never given without the expectation of reciprocity, at least true kindness. But the fact that we've been doing this as long as we have and made the friends has made this, a lot easier as far as sourcing ingredients, becoming familiar with equipment fabricators or people that are trying to get rid of good equipment that we were able to source ourselves for our brew pad.
Did you guys get a new brew house or used?
No, that was actually a pro brewer just flash sale. It was
Los Angeles
LA Ale Works was expanding. They were selling their brew house. That thing went up. We found it 3 hours later. They were like, yeah, we're doing the last brew Friday. We flew down, me and my partner, Michael Bowles, went down, checked it out, bought it.
Nice. How many barrel brew house?
10.
10 barrel, okay.
Yeah.
That's helpful for you to get to experiment like you want to do, right?
It's a good size.
It's not too small, not too giant.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. What about fermenters and stuff?
That brew house came with 2 10-barrel fermenters. We scored a third fermenter from a warehouse clearance sale that was it was very cheap, and it was supposed to be an unjacketed 10-barrel tank. It turned out to be a jacketed tank that takes extremely 6 bar pressure. I think it's meant for the biotech industry, to be honest.
Okay.
But we got it for nothing, and it's a high volume tank and fantastic, right?
What would you do with an unjacketed tank? Are you talking about glycol jacketed? When you say I know you said it's jacketed, but what is an unjacketed means there's no way to cool it? I don't understand.
We would probably use a hot liquor tank or
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was
yeah.
like, yeah, what the heck would you do with that fermenter? But just use it for something else.
Yeah, it was $3,000. We
But
were
it turned
to buy
out
the
a
steel.
perfectly usable fermenter because it's jacketed.
Yes.
It's actually 13 barrel, I guess.
Yeah,
We've been able to
it's-
calculate.
yeah, like it was like measured in hectoliters. So I've put at least 12 barrels of beer in it.
Not
before.
originally manufactured for the brewing industry. Is what
I
it sounds
don't
like.
think
Yeah.
so, man. Like
But it's been working.
You guys know
That's awesome.
Yeah, you all know Rocks. I mean, he was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is a biotech tank.
That's cool.
It even has like a sterile sample port on it.
Nice.
I mean, kind of back to those industry connections, like you were talking about, Justin. You can, when you find something random and awesome like that, you can bring in folks and be like, "Hey, have you seen this before? What is this? Like, let's talk about this." Right?
Well,
So you're
that-
not
and-
just working blind, you know.
So, and beyond like the fact that Eric and I and our front of house manager Kira are all like well networked brewing people. My business partner Michael Bowles is an engineer who did the big Drake's expansion, but after that he went on to do he did a build out at a place called Kite Hill, which is a vegan cheese place. So like he did the whole food thing.
I see.
And so his connections in like that same world are also like, I mean, yes, it helps to be connected. If two 30-year-old home brewers got a bunch of money from their daddy to go open a brewery, they would not have the same.
Right.
You guys build
Yeah.
this is a lifetime of collective
Yes.
knowledge that got you to this point. The fact that the industry is not maybe in like the most like perfect situation almost doesn't matter in the sense that like you've built all this knowledge and connections.
What situation is the industry in?
Correct. We'll get to that in a
We're
little
gonna-
bit.
we
It
are
sounds
gonna
like
get to-
later, but yeah.
But to Nate's point, I read a quote from you, John.
Oh.
Where you kind of, I'm gonna paraphrase, I guess, but you basically said, "I hope this is the last thing I do."
Oh,
Not in life. I don't think you meant, but I think you meant career wise. Like, I hope this is the last thing I do. And
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, you know, if ultimately I could like, if ultimately we were like successful to the point that we had like multiple branches, you know,
sure, there you go. Yeah.
my wife, who's sitting over there on the couch right now, and I would open a Brix Factory Brewing in Akureyri, Iceland. And retire there.
Wow. All right.
Destination chosen.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
That sounds fantastic, actually. I'll come visit that.
I think so too. And we'd be right across the fjord from Huskavik Ul, which is a really fabulous brewery in Iceland.
Amazing. I'll have to check that out, too. How many did you calculate how many barrels you think you guys were going to brew this year, your first year? Was that sorry if that's a dumb question, but did you guys sit down and go, I don't know, 500 barrels, 2,000 barrels?
I was figuring about 500, and I think we're on
Okay.
pace for that.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, I just did brew number 36. So if I assign everything nominal 10s, then I'm easily on pace for 500.
And is it mostly over the counter at the tap room, or are you guys getting it out there?
We wish it was mostly over the counter, but due to the city of Oakland tearing the street up in front of us we opened
For months.
We opened March 1st, April 1st. Literally, the block in front of us turned into a 30-foot deep pit that will be filled in maybe in November. So
The city did that to me here, too. You know, we went all through COVID, no construction, and nothing. And then the first summer we opened up, I don't even remember years now, but what is that? When it was like fully open, 22, 21, I don't know what. They're like, yeah, so the street's going to be pretty much under construction and torn up for the next 3 months of summer. And I just about lost my mind. I was like,
it's
you realize you
summer.
guys had 2 or 3 years to do this when when no one was doing shit anyway.
Yeah, why didn't you
my
do it then?
first summer back?
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Our
cities.
first summer.
This is our
open.
first summer, period.
Right.
oh, no.
It's infuriating, really.
Oh, yeah, we have a claim against the city of Oakland
Okay.
that the city of Oakland encouraged us to file.
Oh, good.
Different
Yeah.
The
departments
city's
helping
weird
each
like that.
other against themselves. It's kind of weird, but
It's honestly great, but whatever we have, yes, we've actually gotten advice from the city of Oakland as
Right.
to how to sue the city of Oakland because the city of Oakland has screwed us and they feel bad.
No, they saw
That is
you.
incredibly honest.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
amazing how not surprised I am. I've
No.
seen cities work like that. It's
Yep.
such a strange thing.
No, they saw you
It's
coming.
just that they can't compensate you if there's no lawsuit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
It's just like one of those things. But like
Yeah.
how
we
contrived.
But
Yeah.
we literally we can't be open during the day. My big story about the construction project is always the same one. When Kira came to work
Was that the
slipped-
oil or the hazmat suit?
Well, the hazmat suit was great. But no, so she slipped and fell on the deck because one of their excavators had tried to lift something too heavy and blasted hydraulic fluid all across our deck.
Oh no!
And had we been open, my understanding is hydraulic fluid in those excavators is between 140 and 160 degrees. It blasted the entire deck. We would have burned everybody out there. People would be like, yeah, there would be no business. We would, everyone would just be suing everyone and people would be in the hospital.
Yes.
So, we now are working exceedingly limited hours and we're not selling as much beer across the deck, across the bar as we want to.
Yeah.
The city saw you coming, and they're like, "There's the angel of death. We have to dig this giant pit and excavate the angel of death."
Yeah,
It's too bad
man.
because the tasting room is really cool.
Thank you. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
honestly, I think next year will be great. We have a really nice, light, well lit tasting room with a lot of air and sun and light, and when we could be open during the day, it'll be fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, the original plan was we were going to be 7 days a week, open early. We were even talking about starting a sort of quasi coffee program, a bear bottle, just to be a neighborhood third space, which was always the plan. And the pivot came pretty quickly when we realized that the raw amount of sales that we were hoping to get over the bar, which obviously any brewery opening, the dollar amount you make over a pint sold over the bar versus the keg sold to an account is marginally different. But we were able to again lean on contacts and pivot, and honestly, it actually turned out pretty well for us because we developed a distributor partner with Mindful.
That's where we got the beer here today.
And they have been nothing if not wonderful as far as getting the beer to market, turning over inventory, and handling any issues, requests.
Nice.
So
Well, this is also where your expertise comes in too, Eric. So to have to go over to that model, it's kind of in your wheelhouse, right?
we were able to flex, and we were able to lean on old talent, so we just had to take out of the old toolkit and dust off. So
The other, I think, silver lining to that is, a lot of times you'll start with the over the counter, and then it's very one dimensional, and you got to work really hard to build the other. Well, when you guys are allowed to be open, I don't think you're going to have to work that hard to build up the over the counter. So you've built the hard part, or will have. You keep doing that, and then when you can do the over the counter, that'll come a little easier. So get the hard shit out of the way first.
Indeed. Honestly, like the over-the-counter part, too, John mentioned a little bit earlier, but the neighborhood reception that we've been getting it's actually been really inspiring. A lot of the people that we have coming to the bar we're on first-name basis with, and so we can't expect our sustainability to come from surge sales due to events or tourism or anything like that. We are actually seeing more and more of the dollars coming from people that treat this as their living room or place to get a beer after work or during their dog walk. So
Yeah.
Lots of dogs.
Is that right?
Oh, no, we are
You guys
basically...
like a dog Instagram, don't you?
Yes, we have Dogs of Brix. We are a people-friendly dog bar. People literally, we have people who dogs will drag their owners in, and we always give them a treat before we give the owners their treat.
That's fantastic. That's great. Well, let's talk about the beer that's in our glass.
Cool.
Cantankerous Youth Amber Rye Ale. Nicole, don't be surprised if I call on you. Pay attention in class.
Okay.
I want your opinions about tastes. So an Amber Rye Ale, I guess, is what we have in our glass.
This one
right?
legitimately comes with a story. I started Red Hook in winter 95, November 1995. In March 1996, I was put on a team with a senior brewer to develop a dark rye for Red Hook. Red Hook had already been selling Red Hook Rye, which was my favorite beer at Red Hook. So I got put on this R&D team to make, and their idea of dark was like this, an amber sort of thing. So they were so we did a lot of test brews, and ultimately we came out with a recipe that we brewed 100 barrels of and went, to market with. And I was very proud of it. It was my first professional recipe in the industry. So, fuck yeah, right?
Yeah.
I have brewed iterations of this beer multiple times during my career, and this is my favorite iteration of it.
Okay. Why?
Well, because number one, it's the lowest ABV. It's only 4.2%, but it tastes like more than 4.2%.
Yeah.
The rye flavor pops. The malt flavor's real clean.
Mm-hmm.
The yeast gives it a little bit of aromatic interest, and I put Green Bullet hops in the Whirlpool just for shits and giggles, and I think it gives.
I've never even heard of that.
Oh man, that's like an old school. So that was like an old school New Zealand hop.
Yeah.
but it's got like some spice that goes with the rye. So the
Yeah.
whole this thing came together for me in a really happy way.
Nice. Okay.
What is the yeast strain?
I'm using the White Labs Burton strain.
Nice. Yeah, it has a very specific ester to it.
Very
That
specific
really,
ester.
like, makes this thing pop and makes it really like intangibly interesting to me. Like,
Right.
Kind of like
Yeah.
cherryish
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
note. Yeah.
So okay, I know Justin's
you're-
bored with recipes, but
No, not at all.
I just
I didn't mean that.
I was
Yeah.
being a jerk. So it's the base malt is like it's like Wireman floor molded pills. I just like went all in. I just like spent money on this beer, and then I want to say it's maybe, I'm not sure if I put a whole bag of Admiral Kilnsmith in it, but some amount of Admiral's dark caramel malt. And then I took some Wireman Carafa black, dehusked black malt, and I put it on top of the bed and sparged through it
All right.
just to keep the color up. And
Get
that's
the
it.
color.
Yep,
Yeah.
for
Yep.
color only.
Yep, color only.
It's delicious. A little bit of like, I don't think it's right for me to say candy sugar, but there's just a little candy in there.
It's like that crystal malt that Don was just mentioning.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's
the
really where
Kilnsmith.
where that comes through. I think Justin.
And there's
But
like
without
definitely like a
coating-
caramel melanoidin.
Yeah, but without coating my palate and like weighing it down.
That's like where that
Yeah, it's
connects.
not
maybe that's the
actually
low
super
alcohol
sweet.
part.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where that connects to that Pilsner malt that's also used.
Oh,
in it.
I see.
Really
Okay.
Nice, yeah.
Because who doesn't love all those flavors? It's just when they're so heavy and that's all you get. So you're like getting the best of both worlds. I'm getting all of that caramel, some candy sugar, some roast. The spice of the rye lifts it up a little bit.
And then the finish kind of ties it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's still pretty dry.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think the low alcohol is key to that, right?
It is.
It's funny because that's our thing, right? Like we have a fair number of like sub 5% beers, and it's not necessarily like winning capitalism to do that, but I'm making delightful beers that way. So
Yeah.
What's the rough finishing gravity on this?
oh gosh, I want to say this finished at no, I have it in my head. I'm like literally looking at the cellar log in my head. It's right around 2.
Nice.
Right
so
around
it's got-
2.
so it's a little-
There's some residuals.
Yeah, there's some residual.
Yeah,
in a
there's
nice
some
way,
residual.
Like,
yeah.
So you're not bone dry, which
No,
may,
what
which
would-
may kind of throw the balance in a
No,
different
if I
direction.
throw in a bone dry, then all you taste is the rye.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, and I didn't want that. And, I wanted that like juice, especially from that, because it's a really sweet Pilsner malt. Like not sweet, like physically sweet, like sweet.
That yeast drop out nice too. Is it easy to work with in that way?
That was the thing, man. This is the first time I've actually made this beer bright. I've never bothered to like find this beer or anything like that. At Red Hook, it was like a hazy beer, and I think hazy amber beers look kind of
Yeah,
so,
they look like homebrew.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Right.
Matt.
So, but these were one. This was 100% like it took the findings real well, and frankly, I didn't want that like kind of chalky flavor you get from the yeast, so I had to like drop that all out. No, I think
So you think it's way better that they cleared it up?
yes.
Yeah. I don't know how to have a comparison, but I think so too. Could this be? I know John doesn't care about styles, but could this be entered as an amber ale, like into that category?
What would I enter this as?
I'm curious about that because to me the rye's not like overpowering at all.
It tastes like rye though.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah, to me it does.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Isn't
I
there-
taste the rye.
Yeah, like I'm not really up on what the current rye specialty categories are.
I don't know. It probably doesn't beat you over the head enough, though.
Yeah.
I'm.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
that's the thing. Like
Yeah,
it's
true.
too rye-y to put it in
In
American,
amber,
in
but-
American amber.
but not rye enough to go specialty or something.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's sort of where I feel like with this beer too. Like I tend to like find myself like not in a very good place when it comes to styles.
Yeah.
But if somebody,
It's
if
delicious, though.
We, in fact, kind of more lately, oddly enough, get customers coming into Hop Grenade asking us for ambers.
Oh yeah, amber's coming back.
It is, right?
Amber's coming back.
It surprised me.
And people are drinking pale ale again.
That does not surprise me, and 100%. I could give this to any one of my customers asking for an amber ale, and they'll be like, "Great, thank you, perfect." Which is very different than like a judge thing, right? But that's
sure.
all I'm saying. Like, I would just call this. Well, amber rye is fine, but like
Sure.
everyone's going to love it. You don't have to emphasize the rye. Here's
I
your
don't
amber ale.
I don't usually like rye anything very much. Just a personal preference
Yeah.
thing.
Uh-huh.
I love this beer.
This one's nice. Yeah.
It's just the balance is
It's
right.
a Pacific Northwest rye beer from the west coast of Iceland. Or something.
There you
You
go.
just have to, like,
I mean,
do like
seriously,
a Brian Hunt style.
That's a great description.
it is though. It's one of those beers that I like. Yeah, I almost like cringe like I should mention the rye because it's there and it exists, but is it just an amber ale? Like, should I just say amber?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call it. I enjoy it and I'm happy I made
Just
it.
make people think a bit.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that.
Making people think.
Yeah, no.
No. Segue.
That ship has sailed, Nicole. No one wants to think anymore.
That's what the cattle prod's for.
I don't think that you are anti-style.
No.
But I also don't get the impression that you care too much either way. Like, maybe there's just these little guidelines over here, and then you might just kind of mess with it however you want. So I just kind of wonder about your philosophy. Are you just throw it at the wall and I don't care, or do you use the styles a little bit to help?
I mean, sometimes styles are guidelines. Beers have existed for, they're things that have existed for a reason. If I'm playing with a style, I might, play with it on a particular tack. I seldom brew straight down the middle on anything like that because
Sure.
that just is kind of dull. I'm not really here to
You've done that
replicate
already.
things. I have done that. I mean, yes. If I was gonna wave my hands around like a crazy flappy arm, blade guy, I'd be like, no styles, no masters, which is a kind of guiding ethos for me. I don't really consider myself to be constrained by styles. I mean, again, we were just discussing, is this beer any style at all?
Right.
Right, because what does it matter?
Or your French pills that we love.
Yeah.
You're like,
is that a
I'm
style?
going to throw these hops in a
yeah,
pills.
is that a style? But also, Pilsner's a style. For me, that was... I mean, it's 100% Pilsner malt with a lager yeast. I just chose to hop it with slightly different hops.
Yeah,
Does that make me... I know Tenma just made a French Pils, but they use Strisselspalt, and I'm just like, okay, come on, man. I mean, that's just...
Right from the playbook, I guess you could say.
that is a little bit more from the playbook, right?
yeah.
So,
Style is just efficient language. It doesn't have to be a box you have to be stuck in, right? That's all. Yeah.
Well, and so that's the thing. Obviously, to communicate to your customers, though,
Yes.
style matters.
Yep.
Exactly. The customers want to know somewhat what they're ordering.
Of course. And we've had this discussion over the years on the Brewing Network, too, even about describing beer, just having a vocabulary to describe beer. Like, on the one hand, we tell new people into beer, like, don't worry about it. Just say what you taste. If it tastes like Cocoa Puffs, say Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to advance the conversation along, you have to have a shared vocabulary, right, Nicole?
Right. If you don't have vocabulary everyone agrees on, then it's the Tower of Babel. Nobody understands each other, and you can't move forward. Language is technology, right? Like, if we can all develop the same understanding of the same words, then we can advance technology of what we're doing,
Yes.
Exactly.
And I think of styles that way, too. Like, in other words, I just don't like when people come in and go like, fuck styles. And I'm like, you're not really saying... You think you're doing that, but you're not really doing that.
You got to learn the rules before you can break them.
And you're still starting
Fair.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's a French Pils, and you threw hops in this Pils, but you still knew how to brew a Pils first.
Correct.
Yeah. So, in other words, at least I'm trying to give you praise, because I just don't like it when people come in and go like, F styles. I don't brew anything to style. And I'm like, well, either your beer's terrible, or you actually do.
It often is.
You're just not acknowledging it.
So I will submit this then for critique. I have a beer on tap right now. They took a crowler of it home. It's called Worlds Collide. It's a 3.8%, and if I were to broadly style it, I would say it is a mildly tart, hazy fruited session IPA. It is 1/3 malted oat, 1/3 flaked rye, 1/3 Admiral Pilsner malt, dry hopped at 0.5 pound per barrel each with Comets, Eclipse, and Mosaic, and hit with 44 pounds of Marionberry puree.
It's really awesome and intriguing.
That is as close to no styles and no masters
right.
as I could possibly get.
You're
and
right.
the fact that it actually turned into a drinkable and fun beer that if you want to think about it, there's a lot to think about. And if you want to just fucking drink it,
Yeah. Just enjoy it.
you can just drink it.
If you try to think about it, it kind of breaks your brain a little bit.
I've actually
Yeah.
hurt some brewers' feelings with that beer.
But if
because
you
they liked it?
Yeah, I had one guy who was like, "Why is this good?"
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
If you just kind of like let it happen to your palate, you're like, oh, this is quite enjoyable. But as soon as you start thinking about it,
everything about it is wrong.
Like knowing stuff about brewing, you kind of want to analyze it, but then you have to stop because it just doesn't work.
There was nothing there.
Like, you just want to sit
it
down
doesn't
and
make
have a
sense
beer.
anyway. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, on a hot summer day because it's like a little bit tart and acidic and really refreshing. That's fine too.
I would say that means you're on your way to a Michelin star if you were a chef.
Sure, but as a brewer, it means you're on your way to like an undescribable beer, which I refuse to release to market.
I know,
broke
but what I'm
everyone's
saying
sense
is
of what the style was, which was funny.
What I'm saying is, okay, a new home brewer can throw all of those ingredients into a beer.
Sure.
And likely would, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be good.
No, if you really like set out, if you're like, I'm gonna make a tart, hazy, rye, blackberry beer, like you're gonna fail.
Yeah. Well, exactly. So my point here is because you come from a background of knowing styles, you get to deconstruct everything, and it's probably going to turn out okay. Because you have the experience of a master chef.
Well, I've hit the point where I'm technically competent enough that I. But even that beer, like it was a last second call to put the fruit in. I was up there with the hop funnel in there, and I dumped the hops in, and I was just like, I've got 44 pounds of Marionberry puree in the box. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to throw it in there.
There we go. Right.
You know who's in my head at that point? Lester over at Bear Bottle, who puts fruit in everything. I'm like, Lester would do it.
Mm-hmm. What would Lester do?
What would Lester do? Mm-hmm. And considering that my front of house manager always is just like, I'm just going to fucking quit and go work for Lester until I get her a slushy machine.
Oh, my gosh. Let me give a quick disclaimer to my homebrew listeners. I don't hate you. I feel like I've made a lot of... it's my experience as an interviewer that I'm allowed to talk about how new homebrewers are. But by all means, new homebrewers, you keep experimenting. You do what you do.
You've tasted the full range of
keep
out there.
doing it, but know your limits from the homebrewers
look, make a good,
you.
clean beer first before you go silly. That's the trick.
Make a pale ale.
Make a pale ale 10 times.
10 times.
Make a style you love, ideally pale ale, because I love that stuff.
Sure.
But,
well, whatever style it is.
Exactly.
Pick a style. Amber, I don't give
Nail that
crap.
10 times and then go for
Nut
it.
brown ale.
You can do it every other beer if you want variety, but get it under your belt.
Unless you're not having fun, then
the
do whatever
laps.
the fuck
Get
you
the
want.
laps.
As long as you're having fun.
Yeah.
But then brew 5 pale ale.
But if
you want
your
to get
friends
good,
cringe.
brew it.
Yeah.
If you want to get good.
All right, I'm going to get us to a quick break because I've got another topic I want us to talk about. Plus, we have 2 more beers I want to try. So we're going to take a quick break. We are hanging out with Brix Factory Brewing and Nicole Ernie and Nathan Smith, and we'll be back after these words. Welcome back to the session. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We got this one more segment to do and a couple beers to try with Brix Factory Brewing out of West Oakland, California. You can find them on Instagram. Just go to Brix Factory, at Brix Factory. So you can also find their Brix Factory dogs.
Dogs of Brix.
There it is, Dogs of Brix. You can go check
Bring
that
your
out.
dog.
And bring your dog down to the brewery, which is on Mandela Parkway in West Oakland.
Well, it's technically on Mandela Parkway, but there is no Mandela Parkway directly in front of us.
Just put it close to you there. Yeah.
Got it.
It's okay. Got it.
Yeah, just north of Grand Avenue, where Peralta and Mandela split. We're near the Pacific Pipe Climbing Gym and the Ballers Stadium, the brand new minor league baseball
Ballers.
team.
Have you guys gone to a game?
I'm actually going to my first full game next Tuesday. I'm looking forward to it.
I want to go check it out.
They are bringing a lot of energy to the neighborhood, and a lot of scorned A's fans are depositing that in a positive way.
That's good.
With a team that's not going to abandon them.
Right. West Oakland kind of needs that, right? Can we be honest? And of course, our listeners across the country are probably, they hear and read all sorts of things about the Bay Area and Oakland in particular. But it's where, at least I know that's where you live, John. You live in West Oakland, and but it kind of needs some help, right? I mean, I feel like you guys are trying to be part of that.
West Oakland is a wild place, man, because, we moved there in 2010, and, it was definitely a rougher situation then than it is now. They've built a lot of housing down there. They've moved a lot of people in there.
Okay.
The population's gone up, but what hasn't gone up is, like, shit to do in the neighborhood. So
Can I just say that you just kind of prove to me like about the existence of a lot of fake news?
Yes.
Sorry to throw that term out
No,
there,
go
but
ahead.
you just said, and I don't think any of the news agencies have said anything like this in any recent time. You just said it was a lot worse in 2010.
Yes.
And the story now, and I'll be honest, it's
yeah.
one that I sort of believe, I guess, that it's so much worse now than it's ever been before. And you're saying no way.
Not even close,
Is
man.
that right? Okay.
Oh,
It's
not even
different now.
Okay.
close. Not our neighborhood.
But,
I mean, 2010,
yeah.
I mean, it was like...
It was rougher then.
Oh,
Absolutely.
way rougher.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I remember going to a community meeting where because we were hearing like nightly gunfire and like the police, like we met at this guy's. It was like, well, so there's this guy and his posse's out to like get him at his aunt's house and blah blah blah. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
and
wow.
now it's like nothing like that.
Okay.
So it's no. I mean,
I'd like to hear this.
I mean, as far as our experience at West Oakland, we only have the bona fide experience, and granted, things have gotten better with recent years, but it's also we try not to fit into common.
Yeah.
They call it doom loop narratives.
Yeah.
Especially with our area, and there's beauty and there's also awfulness with us, but you can say that with any major city. So we're trying to take everything that all the negative people say, just take with a grain of salt. I guess you can do the same with the positive. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
The general experience we've had there is that along that stretch of West Oakland, it's been relatively calm.
Okay.
There has not been much crime for us to speak of.
Okay.
I've only had to kick out 2 people since we've been open since March.
Okay.
So hey, that's actually been a bit of a boon to us.
You guys are
I've
kind of
been-
on a quiet stretch in a way. I mean, it's on
Yeah.
Mandela Parkway, but it's it's kind of an industrial area. Like
industrial, and then the neighborhoods. Yeah.
Well, and I think you said, what if anything, there needs to be more to do.
there needs to be more to do.
So that you don't have to leave the neighborhood to go do stuff.
And really, as somebody who lives a 7-minute walk from the brewery, there's not a lot. There's very few food options. There's no grocery stores.
Right.
There's us in Ghost Town.
Yeah.
Ghost
yeah.
Town is 0.6 miles away. I walk there all the time because I have to use their equipment sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Yeah,
Justin,
yeah.
can I use your alkalizer, Justin?
There we go.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
We love you, Justin.
And we love you, Evan. We love the whole team.
We love the whole Ghost Town
They're
team. Those
great.
guys are great. They're great neighbors, and they were very welcoming to us moving in the neighborhood because their attitude was like, it will just help bring more beer
course.
people to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So-
you have a climbing gym near
Yep,
you.
yep.
I bring it up because it's. I was looking at a location right
Place
there.
is huge.
It's not only huge. It's one of, if not the largest in North America.
My understanding is the tallest.
And one of the most popular in all of the U.S. too.
Yep.
In this part of Oakland that people think is dead.
Right.
But that place is full all day, every day.
All day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've climbed
Yep.
there on a guest pass a couple of times, and there's usually hundreds of people on there any given time of day.
Yep.
Day of the week. It doesn't matter. It's popping.
Yeah.
There's a
and rock
giant
climbers love beer.
There's a
Yeah.
giant
Yeah,
music
yeah.
rehearsal studio about 2 or 3 blocks away. There's
Yep, the
hundreds
Peralta
of rooms
Studios.
in there.
Yeah.
Really?
So you have dozens and dozens of musicians
The
on. in a-
OMC.
What's
on
it
a-
called?
OMC. Oh yeah.
The studios? What's
Oakland Music
Oakland
Complex.
Music
Oh,
Complex.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
Peralta Studios is there too, and then
Yep.
there's that other one. But there's a lot of
West Oakland's got stuff going on.
West Oakland is humming with culture. Like it's
Yes.
where
So much art.
artists live, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
There's so much happening in that.
But so this is kind of where I'm calling myself out, and I guess calling out the news at the same time, because I know that,
Yeah.
yet it just seems like, oh, none of that's there right now. It's just nothing but shit. So
Right.
it's
Well, I
nice
mean-
to hear that I'm wrong.
It's not Disneyland. It's like
Yeah.
It's like it's
But
you know.
Disneyland's
there's
not
a,
Disneyland either.
There's a layer. There's a layer of it's a little bit occulted. Like you
Sure.
wouldn't know it's there if you don't have the in. If you're not already plugged into the hyper local music scene or
That makes
you know,
sense.
Fair.
Yeah.
But if you are, you see that whole area so differently. Or
Okay.
there's a we have an incredible underground wrestling thing.
Yeah.
In
yeah.
West
Yeah, there's a
Oakland.
roller derby up the block
Yeah.
from us, you know?
Okay.
We had an art opening at the brewery a couple weekends ago from a local artist named Kim.
It's really
Makate,
cool art.
right? Yeah. It all light stuff. She has things hanging in the window because we have a lot of windows at the brewery. I mean, the West Oakland is great.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this is the first time we actually took a stab at working with a local artist. Kim is someone that we have known for years, and her stained glass work is fantastic. But it also kind of proves a point that we give a template, one with our taproom space, to have other artists come in and use that space. I mean, we gussied up the place as much as we could, but a little bit more love.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a collaborative neighborhood, so that's what you need too.
Oh, yeah.
So. All right, let's talk about the beer in our glass, because I want to make sure we get through these.
Yep.
I guess the first one we should do is the Fog Attack.
Fog Attack.
The Hazy Pale.
Hazy Pale.
Is that the lighter one or the darker one?
The one on your left is Fog Attack.
Got it. That's what I thought. Slightly darker. Right? If you put them side by side? So the Fog Attack's what we had on tap here. Tell us about the beer.
Well, I am not one of those brewers who... okay, in 2015, when Hazy started coming out, I was skeptical. I was like, well, this is a garbage style. What the fuck is New England trying to sell us, man? What have you done, people? This is garbage. I was hearing stories about applesauce getting dumped into tanks to set pectins, and tasted some samples from some breweries back east. I was like, this is horrifying. I'm not going to make this. But I started tasting some good hazies, and I was like, okay, fine. I'm totally in, because this is a great way to express hop flavor in a different way than a West Coast IPA, where you're going to have the very crisp malt background and the very heavy IBUs to kind of go along with it. Whereas in this case, you have sort of the denser palate and the really, really like aromatic hop thing going on. You're really utilizing a lot of the newer wave hops, as opposed to like, I made a West Coast IPA with Simcoe and Cascade, and it's 100 IBUs and fuck off.
Right.
I was like, okay, so no. I bought in on hazies at Drake's, and I'm still in on hazies. I just like it's just a fun place for me to play with hops.
Okay.
Specifically, a blend of some of the newer Pacific Northwest hops. And when I say newer, I mean I don't think Mosaic's all that new anymore, but newer.
Yeah, new school.
Yeah, new school West Coast hops combined with some of like the Southern Hemisphere things.
Sure. It's funny to me that you mentioned dumping applesauce into these beers.
It's been done.
Because this beer, to me, in a very positive way, I mean this, tastes like nectarine peach applesauce.
Yeah, cool.
If it were all one thing. And
Fantastic.
It's absolutely delicious.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you recall the hot profile? I know there's
juicy.
the Nelson Keefe. That
Yeah, so this was as part of my contract with Freestyle. Contract. Ooh.
Are you under contract to say certain things right now too, or just
No, they don't know who I am. If they knew who I am, I'd be shut. But yeah, I got some hop keef. So we all know that hops are like weed, and they have like glands, and if you break the glands off, then that's keef, like hash, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
which is great because it's just all aroma. What the fuck else did we put in this beer, Eric?
I want to say Mosaic to round out.
Mosaic sounds right.
But there's none of that like nectaron or what's the
there
new?
is no nectaron in here.
Petrine, yeah.
It's neither.
Good one.
There's none of that
Good
stuff
question.
in there.
Yeah.
No, there's no nectar.
Oh, I'm the worst. Look, I'm pulling my
Interesting.
phone out to remind myself because I just make different beers every time.
Do you
so
intend
it's
this beer,
hard.
as its name, to be brewed the same way again with the same hops?
Would I even brew this? Would I name this beer the same? So that's the thing, right? That's now you're getting to a philosophical conversation about whether, like, there are beers that
And there's no wrong answer.
Nicole already helped us with this. She's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Can you step into a river?
Yeah, thank you, Nicole.
I know a lot of jaded bartenders that are not into beer that are like, you
No.
know, all these hazy IPAs, it's just the same beer with a different label on it.
No, so this
Right.
one. Okay,
And
so
I've defended
They're not,
beer.
but yeah.
I'm like, no,
No.
it's the same base beer with different hops and
No.
a different label.
so okay,
Get it
so
right.
just so we know, this is Nelson in the Whirlpool.
Okay.
With Simcoe Eclipse
Oh,
and the
interesting.
Nelson Keef in the dry hop.
All right,
man.
all right.
None of
Eclipse.
none of things I would have
Eclipse.
guessed.
I love
Curveball.
Eclipse.
Curveball.
I love Eclipse.
Okay.
That's a fantastic hop that I recently stumbled across and used the shit out of.
I can see why you asked that question, though, Justin. There's a very ripe, like, tropical fruit
Yeah, sure,
sort of
sure.
element.
No, there's
to
a
this.
definitive like peachy like
and like
peach
ripe stone
oatmeal.
fruit. It's really
Yeah.
nice. Like, yeah.
Well,
Almost like fake peach
and
kind
like
of-
passion fruit.
Yeah.
Because
Fair.
when
Yeah.
when hops have that peachy aroma, it smells just like that fake peach.
Yeah, and like the scratch and
additive.
sniff peep.
Yeah, like the oatmeal.
Yeah,
you know?
Scratch and sniff.
And I love it, by the way. I have not recommended a hazy beer in this. I bartend sometimes.
Okay.
If people come ask me for a hazy, I'll go, yeah, it's on number 5.
Right.
If people ask me for a beer, like, what would you drink right now? I would tell them this. And that has not happened in this
Well,
bar.
I appreciate you, man.
It's really, either I'm just really enjoying this show, John, or, I don't know, there's just something really nice about this.
What's the strength of this? What's the ABV?
5.7.
5.7. See, nice. It's
Yeah.
like fits in a nice pocket too. It's not too like big in that sense too.
And to me, people have been talking about juicy beers all around me for a long time, and I'm like, I guess I get it. I'm not even saying that I don't like it. I'm just saying it's not often my descriptor. I don't often say juicy. I would totally say that about this beer. It has a very juicy, like like I already said, like kind of nectarine.
It's got a big
peach.
mouthfeel, but it's not like extra thick.
Like a lot of the hazes we get, and people go like, "Yeah, give me that juicy one." I'm like, I don't know. I wouldn't have said juicy about that. But this one, yeah.
I think people are very indiscriminate when it comes to hazy IPAs. They're not necessarily your most sophisticated customers, and this is no dog on my customers. I certainly have customers who like hazies more than other hazies, and are like very discriminating about their hazies. But this is one of those styles where people are like, "Give me that hazy."
Yeah.
You sell this as a hazy pale ale.
I do. So that'll
Interesting question.
That
What do you
cut
think?
into that. Well, see, I could have just lied and called it 6% in an IPA.
Correct.
But I chose not to.
I think hazy pales sell pretty well. I have a
Yes, Faction sells a bunch.
I have a low key secret beer buying job for a small restaurant group, and I've been noticing if I put a hazy pale on, it'll outsell the hazy IPA.
Is that right?
You'll probably outsell
It's restaurant,
an American
so not a
pale ale?
bar, but a
Sure.
restaurant. So I think that is a factor. But yeah, even though they're not that far different in price, people go for the pale. I think people are moving towards lower alcohol.
Well,
Right.
I think
I think that's
particularly,
true.
I mean, definitely in restaurant, but I think all in all, like I have a 3.8% porter coming out, and when I announced that to people, they were like, "Fuck yeah!" And like I know other people are like, "Why would you do that?" And it's like because it's delightful, and you can drink the shit out of it, man. Because I'm old and I like to drink more than 1 pint.
Yeah, I mean that's people like us. I think we're really excited about it. I don't know about the general public because they're like, "Well, I'm paying money. I want to get drunk."
No, my weird general.
That's changed. I think that's
But I
changing
think it
too.
is changing because, like, look at how much money people are spending on NA beer.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they just
yeah.
want something interesting to drink that's not damaging to their health.
that's-
So
Yeah.
I bartend 3 nights a week now. So I like have a very direct ear lines to my customers now, more so than I ever have. Although to be fair, Kira and Eric are like very communicative about what we want. And we are very much a neighborhood bar as opposed to like a destination. Like people don't come from 20 miles away to come drink at Brix. We have people who walk their dog to Brix.
They will now.
Yeah, that's right.
Whoa,
And
no,
they
we
should.
and we welcome our beer tourists. But you know, our bread and butter is the people who show up, right?
Of course.
And they have made it very clear that like drinkable beers, lower ABV beers, that's like their jam, man. Like, so great. We're here for you.
Yeah, yeah. And I think this is like a perfect segue to this topic I wanted to discuss anyway. There is a change. There are so many changes happening, not just in the beer industry, but the alcohol industry. And one of those things is either the switch to lower alcohol or no alcohol. And I used to think, 5 years ago when people started to murmur about that, I was like, no, don't worry about that. People love their alcohol. This is a little blip on the radar. And I've been wrong. It's like increasingly gone that way. So I think that's important about what people are drinking in terms of no alcohol or low alcohol. And then switching to other things too, right? And I think Juicy Hazy, by the way, is part of that transition because people were able to go like, oh, I never liked an IPA before because they were so bitter. And then they had a beer like this and they go, oh, that's beer too? There's nothing offensive about that. And we started to appeal to a different palate, right? Yeah. And it's all part of all of these changes that we see happening. So, that being said, we could go on of that for a while, but I'd rather go, so people are saying now craft beer is like over the hill, over the hump, on the decline, whatever that may be, whatever term you want to use. But John, you kind of made some interesting points in your pre-interview where you were like, I don't know, is it on the decline or is it better than it's ever been? And that's kind of where I want to land.
Well, I will definitely, as somebody who has been in this industry for a long fucking time, there's never been more good beer available to people than there is now.
Right.
It's true.
It really is true. Like there's I remember the 90s, like the breweries that failed, they failed because they sucked.
Yes.
Like they sucked.
There were problems.
They were
massive
problems.
D-bombs, left
Massive
and right.
D-bombs. Like people had no clue what they were doing. Like at this point, it's hard. There's a lot of great beer out there.
The bar's been raised, hopefully forever.
I think so,
who
too.
survives, right?
Yeah.
Beers were just bad back in the day. Nathan has some stories about his old roommate being like, "Please don't bring any more beers home that have dogs on the label."
Totally.
All beers were bad. It was really hard to find a good one.
Like we'd go to the liquor store and just look and be like, okay, if there was because we'd homebrewed enough, like. If there was enough sediment in the bottom of that bottle, it was like, don't buy it. So we would look, right?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you were basically going to the store to buy somebody's essentially homebrew.
But the way things are now...
We weren't so sophisticated yet.
But this is the mind fuck.
Right.
Because if we're honest, beer sales are on the decline.
Well, beer sales are all over the place right now, right? Because, on the decline are your bigger regional breweries.
Okay.
Like, are flagships valid anymore? Does anyone care? Or grocery store beers like the thing? I have a hard time wrapping my head around what's going on in this industry. Like for me, everything I see is like the very low, the ground level shit where you go to I drink at Tenma. I pop into Wondrous. I go to Original Pattern. I go to Ghost Town. Those are the places where I go and have beers and hang out.
And they're all doing great.
And they're all doing great. And they're all doing, reasonably, plus, they're all fairly successful. I mean, they're small enough that nobody's printing cash.
Sure.
I mean, actually, OP and Ghost Town probably are printing cash at this point, but
But I guess what I'm saying is there are also great breweries that aren't doing quite as well, right? And you can certainly say okay, so Tenma, tiny. They don't have to sell a lot of beer to do well. So there is it's hard to compare some with the others.
Right.
But what I'm saying too is there are some good breweries going out of business.
Who?
No, see, I don't want to say because they're not out of business yet.
Are they good?
They are good, yeah.
I mean, I will tell you a lot of the breweries who are having business problems are, they got whacked during COVID.
Yeah.
And they just never recovered. They've been staggering along on their PPP loans that they, and now the rails have come off, and that this happened to people, and that's not because they're good or bad breweries.
Yeah, you're right.
The business acumen necessary to navigate the COVID landscape.
Yes.
A lot of people are falling victim to that.
Yeah, and so that has that doesn't indict their beer in any way, shape, or form. It just indicts the landscape.
Then on the whole, and this is where I think I'm agreeing with you, and I hope the focus. It's hard to find bad beer also because the bad beer has already been washed away or is about to be washed away.
That's sort of my feeling too. Who's left out there that's actually legitimately
In fact, I'm almost surprised when I've always there's this level of beer that I call unremarkable beer.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
You just don't go telling anybody about it.
Right.
Because there's no remarks to be made about it.
Yeah. And you're almost surprised those beers exist.
Yes, that's my point.
And they're still around.
And they are still around.
They are still around.
Because the others are so good.
The level just keeps going up.
Yeah.
This is the golden age for beer consumers.
Yes. It's the greatest risk and opportunity is that kind of like you guys do. There's neighborhood breweries who are making great beer who are in this 2 to 500 barrel range, right?
Right.
You're making a 7% IPA like somebody wants.
Right.
They're not going to go to the liquor store and buy the one that's oxidized and they don't like.
Right.
They know what fresh beer tastes like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so those guys that are making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of barrels a year who are making that 7% IPA, it just sits there and goes bad.
Yeah. What's
those
the
guys
point?
are suffering.
Yeah.
Because they know the place to go. They're walking their dog. They're like, that one's better. I'll go there.
Exactly.
And those guys suffering impacts the numbers far more than our success.
Right.
So
we hear about those top level.
You
numbers.
hear about
we don't
those
hear
top
about the guys in the neighborhood.
And I don't even know if data captures us that much because
Exactly.
because when you look at like brewing data like beers in collapse, they're looking at like IRI scans at grocery stores. I have nothing in a grocery store.
Correct.
So where am I? Sure, my volumes are garbage compared to like one day of production at regional brewery whose name I'm not going to mention, but because I can mention 7.
Right.
But this is the thing. I think it's all green shoots right now. I think like
The Forbes article says beer is failing because those are the numbers that those guys are looking at from
Right,
the
but
grocery
yeah.
store.
So yes, Town Talk bread is failing, but Acme, or better yet, Rise Up, is killing it. Now, Rise Up doesn't have shit for volume compared to Town Talk, or is that even a bread brand? I'm thinking of like some kind of bullshit white bread, right?
exactly.
Yeah, those guys are in collapse. Well, bread doesn't sell anymore because
Wonder Bread is
Wonder Bread. That's
collapsing,
it. Yes, Wonder Bread is in collapse.
But Wonder Bread is Town Talk.
Yeah,
rename it.
Yeah, sure, why not, man? But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know if the numbers are accurate.
They're
like,
not.
No, because
Like, quote,
it's
unquote-
like, Sam Adams is selling, a
yeah,
percentage
Sam-
less of beer, so
Right.
craft is failing.
Quote unquote
Like,
beer is
wow.
failing, but like the success is like the local fresh beer that people
Right.
want to find. That's still out there, and it's
And-
great.
and
It's
so
better
that-
than ever, like you said.
And that is success that is beyond just numbers. Like, to be fair, like if Sam Adams is down 5%, me, Temba, and Wind can't make up for even 0.00005 of that
No,
percent.
yeah, it's not a
but
blip.
quality wise,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm literally 1 week from today.
Yes.
My next show is to interview Bart Watson.
good.
from
Nice.
the Brewers
well,
Association.
good, call him out.
Well, I want
Because
to ask.
he's a fucking prophet of doom.
Well, I'm going to ask him
Fuck
the very
you, Bart.
questions that we're asking right now. Like, are we capturing data from my
Oh, he's going to tell you he is because
okay.
he's getting it from some POS scans from like Arrived and places like that.
I
But
see.
he is in no way, shape, or form. And again, it's volume driven.
Yeah.
Like, this is happening, but he's not capturing the spirit of what's happening in this industry in any legitimate way.
It's
Well-
like the thing you just
I'm
described.
going to ask just that because what I do know is
Gauntlet thrown.
the Brewers Association is there for the small brewers as well. So I'm trying. Let me try to
Yeah,
get
but
to
who
the bottom
pays
of
his
that.
bills?
Let me get to the bottom of that. I'm going to love to ask.
I don't
Ask
pay
him the
his
hard
bills.
questions, Justin.
I know I'm such like a hard-hitting journalist too.
I'll sit over in Nate's chair
Barbara
for
Walters
it.
on him.
Oh my god! By the way, he's a PhD that can run circles around me. But I did read. He just released the mid report, which is
Yeah.
I'm sure what you're
Yep.
referring to. And I just immediately thought like, I have to talk to this guy. I got to find this out.
Sure.
And mostly because I have differing opinions too, but I feel like my opinions are anecdotal. They come from that tap room out there.
Sure.
And they come from my listeners.
But those
and,
are legitimate
you know,
opinions from
yeah.
your tap room.
Yeah. No,
I'm
agreed.
sorry. Like,
Yeah.
we all have legitimate opinions just as beer drinkers who go out and about.
Yeah.
John is coming out with shots fired, but he has a point. He's saying that, like, okay, the Win and the Tenma and, like, what these guys are doing is, like, just so under the radar, it's not being counted. And there's that happening in every major city everywhere.
Sure.
Every
And
major
all-
city everywhere.
Correct. And, like, the
Is it?
people walking their dog,
Yep.
like, that want a fresh beer, know where to go. They're not going to buy the oxidized one from the other place.
Yeah.
Well, we might also be at the mercy of more local factors than we are at national or even statewide factors. So even any data that's going to be captured, they don't account for our street getting ripped up. They're not going to account for maybe a sweetheart deal if we got landlords. So there's a lot of like individual factors with us,
Sure.
a small scale manufacturer that they can't take into consideration, which is
Right.
fine. Which is fine. But
Well,
I also
How
think
would our volumes even get counted by Bart? Where would Bart even know that I exist?
I'm going to
Exactly.
find out. I'm
Are
gonna
you
ask
not
that.
a BA member?
Yes.
Okay. Do
So
you
he knows that he knows that I produce 0 barrels in
Do
2023.
you fill out your survey?
I haven't had one to fill out.
You will.
I will.
I'm going to ask. Bart
And it-
doesn't know what he's in for.
The margin of error is higher at the smaller breweries.
Not
That's
really.
my take.
You gotta get that like really exciting music queued up. Today I interview Bart Watson.
When we come back.
When we come back, Bart Watson will have his feet held to the fire. I'm telling you, Bart. But I will say this.
Meanwhile, the reality is, hi, Bart. Thank you so much for being here.
Bart's writing his cancellation email right now.
I know.
But seriously, even if we're at the bottom, we're at the bottom, but the bungee is going up. Man, because I'm telling you, I've been in this industry for a long fucking time.
They're the 1997.
Oh, for sure. Okay. And it's not just about volume of garbage beer sold at fucking grocery stores. It's about the fact that you, as a beer consumer, have never been better served.
Yeah,
in this industry,
you can't really measure, community engagement. You can't measure. You can't
yes,
measure.
Thank you.
Being, part of something local. It's just not measurable. It's not, It's not an. It's an economic.
Thank you. Maybe openings and closings are finally leveling off, but that's because idiots open breweries.
Yeah,
and they still will.
And they still will.
And that's fine.
And that's fine. But how many good breweries have opened in the Bay Area in the last 5 years?
See, there's
enough.
There's Tenma. There's Brix.
Oh,
5 years. We're talking, right?
5 years. Yeah, 5 years is a tough
timeline. Wondrous.
Okay, Wondrous. Thank you. Sorry, Win. My bad. Wondrous. Yeah.
Yeah. Were they? They were pre-pandemic.
I'm probably missing 10.
Were
So
they
don't hold me to this.
I don't know. I'm just.
Wildfields.
I see your point.
I'm just here to say that I personally, as somebody who, if I was not in this industry, I would never be happier to be a beer drinker than I am right now.
Yeah, and so that's what I liked about your point, John, too. Not that I didn't like other points, but I really...
I think that's the core of my point.
Because I agree with you. And in fact, I'll buy random breweries now more than I ever did because I now expect them to be pretty good. If you're on the shelf, you're going to be pretty good.
Exactly.
5 years ago, if I don't know you, I'm not buying it. I just because there still was just enough of mediocre stuff out there.
Well,
and I'm like, cool, give me a new brand. I'll check it out.
COVID was a scythe through the garbage breweries.
Yeah. You're saying you liked COVID. I'm putting words in your mouth.
It didn't hurt.
Yeah, it didn't hurt the beerscape as well. Yeah, let's do that.
I'm sure there's some good breweries that went down because of that.
Of course. And tap rooms and like you name it.
Yeah,
of course.
People that depend on a certain kind of tap room.
Weren't able to quote unquote pivot fast enough.
Yeah, couldn't. All the mobile canners were instantly gobbled up.
What a great fucking business that was to be in.
Right. So, if you couldn't find a way to get your beer to your consumer,
Yeah, you fell apart. But I just think there's smarter and better beer every day. I'm going to drink this last beer.
Yep.
Before we run out.
Lost in the Stratus Hazy IPA.
Hazy IPA. Just came out.
Actually, it doesn't have Strata hops in it.
It does not have Strata hops in it.
That's confusing.
No, Stratus is a cloud. Stratus is a cloud. Oh, Strata's sort of an overrated hop.
Okay, but you put it in the name of...
No, I put Stratus US. It has nothing to do with Strata, which is a stratification situation. How dare you?
Tell me about the beer. So what is in it if no Strata?
This is actually like a really fun hop blend. I put these are some of the hops I got from Fieldworks too.
Strata in it.
I put not Strata in it because what was the point? So I had Fieldworks hook me up with some hops. Mm-hmm. I put Hallertau Blanc in the Whirlpool because Hallertau Blanc is a great Whirlpool hop for any hazy IPA because it doesn't have a lot of IBUs potential and it has nice flavor profiles, but it should only be used in the Whirlpool because otherwise it's got weird earthy flavors that you probably don't want.
Okay.
But they'll get driven off in the Whirlpool, which is great, and all that leaves you is that quote unquote white wine flavor. And then I dry hopped it with Nelson Sauvignon Blanc. I just went for that, and then I had read Enigma had sort of a white wine character to it, and I got some Enigmas from Fieldwork also, and then I tied it all together with Mosaics. I don't think it tastes anything like white wine. I don't think there's any white wine characteristics in here, but I think the hops all came together, and I think it's kind of cool.
I think it's a great beer. I think we should save some for Lewis so he'll buy a keg for the hop grenade.
Well, I'm sure I just what did we put on a truck yesterday, Eric?
6 and 6 halves and sixtels.
I'll tell him.
Yeah.
I'll tell him.
Yeah, we're a big producer, man. Once a week, I sell my distributor 6 halves and 6 sixtels.
And they roll that box truck right up to the rolling.
Yeah,
so
we're
funny.
fucking killing it, man.
It's how I feel as a little tap house sometimes. I'm like, man, we buy so much of whoever, and then I'm like, yeah, it was 2 cases a week.
Yeah, that's fine, man.
This clocks in at about 6.5%.
Yep, 6.5 on the nose.
Right in a nice pocket for an IPA. It's such a good balance.
It's delicious.
I like the
Yeah,
nose.
it's so
Nose
good.
came out great.
little tannin, maybe.
Oh yeah, it's still got some green hop thing. Honestly,
You get some Nelson quality
yeah,
coming through in the aroma, which is very nice. Like people love that.
Nelson and Mosaic, courtesy of Roger Davis, Faction Brewing Company.
Fantastic.
Enigma and Hallertau Blanc, courtesy Fieldworks, because I source my hops via the brewery that I buy them from now. So it's actually kind of funny now. Like I even write it on my log. It's like Eclipse.
Faction. Or
No,
whatever,
no. Most of my Southern Hemisphere hops come from Andy at OP.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, come on, man.
Doesn't he source them with Ghost Town?
Probably.
Oh, I don't know.
That's what
Doesn't Andy just get all his things directly from down there?
You do the worst.
Come on now, mate.
I don't want
Does
to
he fly down and get him himself?
Oh, I
you
do
sound
a
classier than
No,
Andy.
I don't do an Andy impersonation. I do a Rocco's Modern Life impersonation, and I transpose it onto Andy. I'm not a kangaroo, mate. I'm a wallaby.
Rocco's Modern Life. Rocco's Modern Life.
Look, dude, we all right. I'm just going to out ourselves for this. We bought him the shirt that Rocco wears as his going away present when he moves back to Australia.
Nice. He listens, so you just outed it.
Yeah, that's fine,
I don't
Andy.
think he listens. It's
Andy. Andy's one of the most delightful people in this industry. I'm
really
sorry. Heads up, and OP is fucking fantastic,
And one of the
man.
hardest working.
Absolutely.
Oh God, he works too hard. That guy's absurd.
You don't show up at 6 p.m. on Friday.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, Andy's here.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
if you showed
Andy's
up at 6
fucking
a.m.
here.
that day, he was there then,
He
too.
was there then too.
Yeah.
And then Saturday.
OP's fucking killing it. This is
You're
what
right.
I'm saying,
Absolutely,
man.
you're right.
Like I don't know. Even if in
There's great
2015,
beer.
in 2015, I couldn't found this much good beer.
You're right.
I just think that the landscape is not tolerant of shitty beer anymore.
And I think
That's great.
you're really onto something about this message, by the way. Like, let's get out of the doom loop and just talk about how much great beer there is. So maybe there's less of it. But
Maybe there
but
is.
when you pick it up, it's bound to be pretty damn good, if
Right.
not fantastic.
Yeah, sorry
yeah.
As long as
that stale IPAs aren't selling well at fucking grocery stores, Bart.
the giant
but fuck you
regional-
anyway.
It's true.
It's all Bart's fault.
It's Bart's fault.
Oh,
I have a lot
man.
of non-beer friends, and they'll say stuff to me like, "Oh, I don't drink IPA. I can't remember the last. I used to. I don't anymore. I can't remember the last time I drank one."
Yeah.
And I see their purchasing habits and how they go about deciding what to drink, and they're
Right.
walking to the corner store and buying a drink and drinking it.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
That's
They're
not
not going to
good.
the store and stocking up. They're not that kind of people. They're
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, of course you don't like IPA because you're buying probably a pretty big produced one, and who knows how long it's at the distributor before it got warm delivered
Yep.
Exactly.
to the liquor store, and then who knows how long it's been there.
Let me.
And I'm the opposite.
And so
because,
of course you don't like it because it's
Yeah.
not
because
good
it's
anymore.
garbage.
Yeah.
It's
I'm exactly the opposite because of what we're talking about. Nate, when we were in here doing shows every week back in, from
2009, 10, 11,
well,
12, 13,
no,
yeah.
let's fast forward to when I stopped drinking IPAs. More like 2015 to 2019.
Pale ale
I was
forever.
like, yeah, just give me pale ales. I can't handle these IPAs anymore. Well, took a little break from IPAs. COVID hits. I come back to work at the Hop Grenade because I have to, and I start drinking IPAs because I have to sell them to my customers. Turns out they're fucking fantastic. And so I flipped. I was so over IPAs, and I really went the opposite, but it's not I don't think it's cuz my palate changed.
No.
I think it's cuz the beer got better.
I think because the beer got
Yes.
better.
or the
Yeah.
or the
Yeah. Or both.
the quality of the beer that you were getting was better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm never gonna blame somebody for not liking
Absolutely not.
a horribly oxidized shadow of what it used to be beer. Of
Yeah.
course you don't
The
like
brewer's
that.
not happy about it either.
Yeah, the brewer wouldn't drink that themselves.
They would be sad.
So
it would be sad.
you know.
Where craft
But
beer?
I think this is where a place where we're failing to reach Gen Z is because that's how young people are drinking beer. They're going to their corner liquor market and buying a drink.
Right. We need them in our tap rooms because that is the experience now. It's you go to the local bakery, you go to the local coffee shop, you go to the local that's making the fucking product.
Yeah.
And that's where it really is right now. Ground floor, man.
Which was, kind of the start of the craft beer revolution. So let's just a little full circle.
Yeah. I mean, that's where it needs to kind of sit. Like, if you're, scalability is, a place where things get lost. Things are going to fall off.
Things go wonky.
That same audience you just mentioned, I think, wants just like a basic drinkable beer in many cases. Like what craft beer became like IPA beer. I've heard people order ask or order this, right? So that got lumped in with the same thing. It was like people show up at a bar, they're like, "Oh, one of those craft beer IPA beers."
Yeah.
Well, people are scared of getting something that tastes bad with a little bit of money that they have to spend on they're decided to get some drinks today.
So that became a version of like, I'm going to pay more for it, and it's got to be stronger.
Yes.
Right?
Right, because you want to get your money's worth.
Correct.
Well, us older millennials and Gen Xers are like struggling to try to understand. Like, well, I don't get this. But it's just like why are people buying like what are those like the Boda box or no? That's the wine. What's there's this like new like 10% still thing that comes in like a cardboard box that you just pound. It's like
or
next level from
balls.
Twisted.
We're not talking about like the gallon jug of
stuff like that.
Or just
people are drinking stuff like that, and it's not because they like the flavor necessarily. It's because they know exactly what it's going to taste like.
Yeah, right. Those are the people who go to Panera.
No, they're not. They're the people that
they are the people who go.
They're like
they want to make sure that it tastes the same.
There's a phrase that I think about when you were talking about this. What we seek is a measure of what we deserve.
Yeah.
And that is sometimes at the mercy of what is around us. And here, where we're at, is actually, I can name 4 coffee roasters with cafes on my walk from West Oakland BART to our tap room. There's local bakeries, and we have the opportunity and, to an extent, privilege that we can actually get to know the name of the people that are making our bread, coffee, beer, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And this was something that we got excited about 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And the more things change, sometimes the more they stay the same.
Stay the same, yeah.
And we're rediscovering that same fascination for something that is made with appreciation for what it is.
Mm-hmm. Which is why you're a great local brewery for the people walking the dog in the neighborhood, not just like what some people perceive as like, that's the IPA brewery that's just expensive. They only make expensive like strong beers.
I also think there's a ton of people who claim to want exactly what you just described, but then they go to the Yard House. And then they go to Starbucks, and then but at the next gathering at the party, my God, I love local. There's this local roastery. You didn't go there, and so I think there's a lot of talk about that and less walking of the walk.
But we are seeing a fair amount of walking of the walk. We see more and more of it.
Good.
Like we have one guy who comes in every day. And he gives us $15, and he takes home 4 Pinch Point cans. Mm-hmm. And that's every fucking day. Marcus comes in, says, "This is my beer.
It's my beer."
We have one guy brings in his Irish Wolfhound, and he has 4 Cliffs of Vermont.
Yep.
We have
it's his day.
Every day. We have the guy who comes in for the 2 or 3 wet bulbs.
Yeah. And that's
every
also
day.
someone who works in the neighborhood.
And it's a treat, man. It's like we did something for you.
Yeah. No, I love it when that happens.
It's not somebody chasing something they're going to resell or the thing that was just like weird or like super strong or whatever. It's
well,
like, this is my neighborhood beer.
Marcus flat up was like, "Look, this is the only beer I can bring home." And like, if I tell the ladies I've got a 4-pack of beer, and they're like, "I don't like beer," but I tell them, "Oh, taste this one," and they like it every time.
They're all about it.
I'm just like, Marcus, we love you. You are the best.
That rules. Hell
You've done it. All right. Well, that is the time we have. In fact, not only is it time we have, you can tell I've enjoyed this show because it's the longest show I've done in a while. So I really appreciate you guys coming in and doing this with me.
Yeah, thank you.
I've really enjoyed it. You're going to have to come back, please. Nicole.
Yes, sir.
Will you please come back and co-host with me?
I will do that.
Come back next week and yell at Bart Watson.
Oh, that would be fun.
Do it.
I don't think Nicole will yell at him.
I'll wear a suit. Like, let's do this.
Let's get after it. I really enjoy the show. I forgot how much I enjoy your commentary, Nicole. So that's what I'm saying. Please do come back. I'll send invites. Don't worry. You don't have to remember. But yeah, Nate, always great to have you.
Dude, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for
So much fun. Pale ale forever.
Taking your Friday night and
Hell yeah.
enjoying some good beer with me. So you can go find Brix Factory on Instagram, right?
Yep.
Is it just
that's the best place to
Brix
find
Factory and then of course our dog page.
on the dog page?
Yeah.
What's more popular right now?
Our main page, but the dogs is actually catching up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Come on,
dogs of
dogs.
bricks.
Come
Dogs
on.
of bricks.
I love it.
I look at dogs on Instagram all day.
And we've had multiple cats
On the dog page?
and a spider.
I like
but
that.
Kira wouldn't put it up.
Oh, Kira.
She's so soft. So soft.
We have
Arachnophobic.
do we have a pig too?
Oh, tell me you have a pig.
We haven't had a pig yet.
On my patio the other day, we have these busy concerts out here in the park, and I looked down, there's a stroller with a giant, I'm not talking about a small pot-bellied pig.
That little teacup.
A big-ass pig just chilling in a stroller on my front patio here at the bar. I loved it.
amazing.
I was like,
That's
this
cool.
is... By the way, the pig was well more well-behaved than half the dogs that are on my patio. But that's an owner problem, not a dog problem. All right, we've got more for you. Coming up, like I said, Bart Watson from the Brewers Association will be here. I believe I've got Humble C coming on the show pretty soon, and a couple others lined up. So stay tuned to the Brewing Network. Don't forget, Brew Strong is still putting out shows for you. Jamil does a great job. He just did a show on cool pooling in the whirlpool. Cool pool.
Wow.
So you're going to want to tune into that. Dr. Homebrew is still around. JP's doing lots of shows. JP and Brian Cooper, they're doing a great job. So stay tuned to the Brewing Network. Go check out good local beer like at Brix Factory and whatever might be around the corner from you, as long as it's good. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care of yourselves and your beer. The Session is a production of the Brewing Network and brought to you by More Beer. Check them out at morebeer.com. Find more content and live video of this show on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Brewing Network. For sponsorship opportunities and information, please reach out to advertising@thebrewingnetwork.com. To reach our hosts, contact feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com.